Hydroflux, redefining your lifestyle, presents the return of the Singapore Parenting Festival. Join our amazing hosts in a series of 8 free webinars that cover fertility and pregnancy concerns, parenting tips for newborns to fussy eaters, living with COVID and vaccinations, and guides from preschool to PSLE. Register now and attend our webinars for your chance to get an exclusive SPF goodie bag while stocks last. The Singapore Parenting Festival is proudly brought to you by MediaCorp and the Asian Parent. Platinum Partner, 100% organic drip chicken essence with cordyceps. Gold Partners, Dumix Dugrow, comprehensive nutrients. Scott's Vitamin C for kids' immunity. Nature One Dairy, your partner in parenthood. PCF Sparkletots, we sparkle lives. And the following silver and other partners.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us this evening. As you know, today's free webinar is part of the Singapore Parenting Festival. And as you've just seen in the video, the Singapore Parenting Festival is proudly presented to you by the Asian Parent and MediaCorp. Of course, we want to thank our partners. Big thank you to our platinum partners, Hydroflux and Yu Yen Sang. Also our gold partners, Dumex, Scott's, PCF Sparkletots, Nature One Dairy. Our silver partners, Ministry of Health Singapore, Baby Dove, Virtus Fertility Center, and Prudential. Also, our content partners, Center for Fathering, Mums for Life and Dads for Life, Baby Pass, and Families for Life. The Singapore Parenting Festival is all about exciting contests, informative webinars, and also grand sales. Today, we're going to dive into the topic of from preschool to PSLE, a survival guide. We're going to teach you how to survive. So big thank you to all of you for being here today. I know it's been raining. I don't know whether it's been raining where you are. I'm sure it has, but it's been pouring today. And you probably just settled the kids down for dinner or in bed, hopefully. So we want to thank you for taking the time out to join us today. Before we start proper, a couple of house rules, okay? First of all, you guys are all automatically muted. And we welcome your questions. That's what the Q&A box is for. So if you have any questions, get in the Q&A box and submit your questions, and we'll try to answer all of the questions, well, as many questions as we can at the end of the session. I want to say hi to everyone who's actually chatted with us, to Sonoy, Aswini, to Lisa, to Joyce. So many of you. Good evening, everyone. Sorry about my voice today. We're all kind of under the weather here. So who's not under the weather nowadays, right? But anyway, really glad to be here. One more thing, the webinar is recorded, okay? And some of you are here for the Shopee vouchers, right? So yes, we will be giving away 6 $50 Shopee vouchers later. So 6 of you, 6 lucky attendees will win the voucher, and the winner will be announced at the end of today's webinar. That's right. You got to stay with us until the very end. You were going to anyway, right? Now we've got a QR code for you to scan. This is for you to receive your free Prudential goodie bag. That's right, a lot of freebies in the Singapore Parenting Festival. So if you want your free Prudential goodie bag, please scan away right now or visit the URL that's typed in the chat box. Have you scanned it? Good. Before we go on, here's a short clip from Families for Life. So the 6th edition of I Still Do by Families for Life, or FFL, is back with exciting programs designed to encourage married couples to reaffirm their commitment to each other. The month-long campaign, which starts from Valentine's Day to 13 March 2022, invites soon-to-wed and married couples to celebrate their dedication in nurturing a long-lasting, harmonious marriage. Through a series of online activities, couples can look out for fun ways to strengthen their bonds. Couples can also create unique and fun we fees with FFL's exclusive I Still Do themed Instagram filter. Also follow FFL's Instagram page to learn more. Search for the Instagram filter FFL Moments of Love under browse effects on Instagram stories. That's how you get to the filter. So try to participate in our Instagram contest because lots and lots of attractive prizes. Follow Families for Life's Facebook page, that is at familiesforlife.sg, to learn more. And like I said, take part in our contest to win lots of attractive prizes. So a big hi to people tuning in right now. I just want to say thank you once again for joining us. For those of you who are just coming in, you are not that late yet, don't worry. And we haven't given away the Shopee vouchers. That's the important thing. And of course, we haven't heard from our experts. I haven't introduced myself as well. My name is Jamie. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a mom of two. And I used to be in the media. I used to act. I used to go on radio. I still host quite a bit, but nowadays, times are different, right? Instead of hosting on TV, we host virtually like today, like right now. So thanks so much for joining me. By the way, for those of you just joining us, we have the Q&A chat box available for you to submit your questions, and we have the Q&A coming up at the end of the session. But before I introduce to you all our expert speakers today, let's do a very quick poll, since I know you guys are in the mood to chat because I can see you guys in the chat box. So let's do a quick poll. You must take part in this. Oh, before we do the quick poll, let's introduce the speakers first. First up, we're going to have Marini Khamis. She is going to be taking the floor, talking about getting your kids used to preschool. Now, Marini has been an education management professional for close to 30 years. She's a member of the Professional Advisory Committee of the NIEC. She has taken on various leadership roles as well, contributing to organizational transformation and growth in early childhood to adult education settings. At PCF, at PCF, she's, as I said, the Senior Director of Preschool Management Division of the PAP Community Foundation. She leads the Preschool Management Division, and that oversees the planning and development of PCF's preschool services, operations of its network of 360 centers, early intervention support, and regulatory matters as well. She holds the view that learning about being a good parent is an ongoing, fulfilling journey with no graduation date. Oh no, really? Okay, she'll give you more tips in just a bit. Our second speaker is Jacinth Liew. She's a parent coach and founder of Our Little Play Nest. Jacinth is a parenting coach, as you know, and she's also an ex-secondary school teacher, a textbook co-author, and a mom to two kids. Marrying her decade-long of teaching knowledge and parenting experiences, Jacinth empowers parents to communicate and connect meaningfully with their children through research-backed positive parenting strategies. She shares bite-sized parenting tips with parents via emails, a blog, Instagram page, Facebook, also in-person workshops, and her signature online course From Yelling to Connecting and Parenting Membership Sprout. She's been featured in various media like ST and Nian He Zao Bao and also SG Tatler. Last but not least, the thorn among the roses today. Sorry, Xavier. Xavier knows I'm kidding. It's Xavier Yue, Vice President, Curriculum at Genie Book. Now, Xavier's got an honors degree in applied math from National University of Singapore. He's gamely pursued a career in teaching. It's his passion from the very beginning. So he specialized in mathematics from primary school to junior college, and Xavier shares his love of the subject with his students through his animated and bubbly personality, which we will witness in just a bit when he presents to us. In his 17 years of teaching, his students often laud his lessons for being insightful and enriching. Oh no, I think we're gonna be putting too much pressure on Xavier now. He's gonna have to, be very insightful later. Today, as Vice President Curriculum at Genie Book, he leads a team of over 100 experienced teachers to develop curriculum aligned with MOE's syllabus. He brings these lessons to life through online learning experiences like Genie Book's AI personalized worksheets, live classes, and real-time teacher chats. So there you go. Those are our esteemed speakers. And now it's time for the poll. Yes, I was too quick to jump the gun earlier because I really wanted to find out about this. At what age, guys, do you think children should enroll in preschool? Is it A, as soon as possible, or is it B, 3 years old? That's nursery, obviously, as you know. Or is it C, 5 years old, kindergarten? So once again, at what age do you think children should enroll in preschool? As soon as possible, 3 years old, or 5 years old? I can see people are saying that maybe 3 is good. Some people saying C, 5 years. Oh, wow. You want them at home until 5 years old? Hats off to you. Lots of answers coming in. And I believe our first speaker, Marini, is going to cover this topic in her presentation in just a bit, but very interesting to see all the results coming in. I think for those of you moms and dads, if you have more than like one kid at home and they're all running around being very cheeky monkeys, I'm sure your answer would be A, as soon as possible, please get out of the house. And then of course, if you guys only have, let's say, one precious child and they're very well behaved, you're probably thinking, no, I want them with me for as long as I can. Okay, I'll send her or him to school at 5 years old. We're busy compiling the results right now, and we're going to flash it to you in just a bit. Okay, and here are the results. So most people think that it's 3 years old. That's when you should enroll your kids in preschool. Next up, as soon as possible. I'm with those people. As soon as possible. Yes, go and learn and, give me some peace. And then 8% of you say 5 years old, kindergarten. Your kids must be angels, I say. Thanks very much for taking part on the poll. We'll probably have a couple more polls later. I can see you guys are hungry to interact. And of course, speaking of interaction, we have the Q&A as well. So if you have any questions, while you're listening to the presentations by the experts, please feel free to submit your questions into the Q&A box, okay? Speaking of the experts and speaking about preschool and all that, I would like to introduce to you Miss Marini Khamis right now. She has the topic of stress-free ways to ready your child for preschool and primary school. That's what she's talking about today. Marini, please take it away.
Thank you, Jamie, and good evening, everyone. I'm so delighted to be part of today's conversation with parents on surviving preschool to primary school. Now, on the question, the poll just now, when is the best time to send children to preschool? Well, my kids were enrolled in preschool when they were 2 years of age. But really, the best age for preschool will vary from child to child and depends on multiple factors, including age, of course. In Singapore, it used to be that most parents would start preschool for their children at the age of about 4 years old or nursery 2. But today we're seeing more parents enrolling their children in preschool at younger ages, between 18 months to 3 years old. So the results of the poll just now is not surprising at all. I think this is partly due to increasing recognition of the importance of the early years as a critical period for children's development and the value of a quality preschool education. You may want to take note that 90% of a child's critical brain development actually happens within the first 5 years. And the early years are crucial for children's cognitive, social, emotional, and physical development. So quality preschool experiences during this period can have a significant positive impact on children's total development and build a foundation for future learning, health, and life success. Now, once you made that decision to enroll your child in preschool, you would want to select one that is best suited for your child and your family needs in terms of location, curriculum, environment, cost, and quality. Quality in terms of programs, environment, and teachers, of course, plus how the preschool is run. If you're able to do a school visit, I suggest you observe how the teachers care for the children. For example, are they talking to children in nurturing and encouraging ways? Observe the children in the classroom. Do they look engaged? Are they engaged in meaningful activities and seem happy in school? Look around the school environment. Does it seem organized, well-maintained, and clean? And what about the teachers? Do they carry themselves in a professional manner and look happy? This is very important because happy teachers make happy children. Now, because of the ongoing pandemic, school visits may be limited for now. So do ask if the preschool can offer you a virtual tour and consultation instead. And during your visit or the virtual consultation, talk to the center principal or the teacher and learn as much as you can about the preschool and its practices so that you can make an informed decision. If you would like to know more information about this topic, Sparkletots Preschool has an article on the same on the Asian Parent website. Now, once you've found a good quality preschool that meets your needs, you may wonder what comes next. Well, making that transition to preschool is a significant life event for your little one. And there are a few things that you should take note of and ways that you can support him. Jamie, I wanted to just check in with you. When your children were younger, did they sometimes cry or get anxious when they don't see you or they're away from you?
Very rarely, and I was quite upset about that actually. I actually felt, oh, they don't love me that much. They're okay with seeing me go.
Okay, then you're the lucky ones then, because for many children, they display what we call separation anxiety, and it's a normal part of a child's development. In fact, in starting preschool, many children display separation anxiety, especially during the first few weeks. Why? Because they are away from mommy and daddy, and they are in a new environment with new teachers and friends. Now, your child may display the anxiety in different ways, such as fighting with you about getting dressed in the morning, refusing to talk to the teacher, being overly clingy, or throwing a tantrum. Some children may also display a change of behavior at home. Children react to separations and new situations in different ways. Some adapt more easily, while some may take longer to adjust. But you need to know that separation anxiety in children does not mean that you are a bad parent, or that the preschool is not a good one, or that your child will feel this way forever. It only means that your child is still learning to bond and trust other adults, plus adjusting to his new environment and routines. Now, it is important to be prepared and know what you can do to help your child. And I would like to share here 5 strategies, which I have found especially useful in working with parents and children over the last 30 years. Firstly, do familiarize your child with the preschool. Make a few visits to the preschool in the weeks leading up to the first day. If there is an orientation, make sure you attend with your child so that he can meet the teacher. And if possible, spend some time in the classroom and in the play areas. If a preschool visit is not possible due to the pandemic, ask if they can offer you a virtual tour. Now, even driving or walking by a few times and pointing out the school building can be helpful. Secondly, get your child excited about school and establish a consistent daily routine. Talk to your child about what a school day will be like, what he will do in school, and how he will enjoy making new friends and playing with them. It's also good to discuss the health precautions such as wearing of masks, taking temperatures, and washing hands regularly, and practice all these at home too. And once your child starts school, continue such conversations in the mornings, on the way to school, and keep them positive. I personally feel that it's important to establish a routine before and after preschool too, something that I found particularly important as a parent. Become an early bird. Hungry, tired children are often clingy, cranky children. In other words, prime for a separation anxiety attack. So put your preschooler to bed earlier and wake up earlier so that there's time for a leisurely yet energy-boosting breakfast to help him shake off the sleepies and get his preschool mojo on. Now you can also make the morning routine visual for your child. Take pictures of him brushing teeth, getting dressed, eating breakfast, and putting on shoes, face masks, etc. Then attach them to a schedule and let him mark each task or activity as he completes it. Keep to the regular routine as much as possible and try to avoid any other major changes in the first few weeks of school. The third tip is to manage your own emotions. You may feel anxious about your child starting preschool, but try to remain positive. Children often pick up on our own stress, and this can make the adjustment harder for them. Do not signal that he should be nervous by asking leading questions such as, are you worried about starting preschool and being away from mommy? Will you cry later on when I leave you in school? Instead, focus on the exciting aspects of starting school. Next, have a proper goodbye. And this is very important. I have seen many parents doing what I call the magic act. Now you see mommy, now you don't. This may sound a little amusing, but not to your child. He may be shocked at the sudden disappearance of mommy or daddy, and separation anxiety is sure to set in. Instead, find a special way to say goodbye to your child, and never sneak out, even if your child appears busy or engaged. You may avoid a tearful goodbye, but your child may not trust you the next time and may lack confidence in separations in future. And don't drag out the separation process either. Even if your child is crying or upset, a hug and kiss with reassuring words of love from you is the best medicine. Stay calm, be positive, and trust the teachers to handle the situation once you leave. You can check in with the preschool later or have them let you know how your child is doing. Last, work with your preschool closely to support your child. A collaborative relationship with your preschool is so critical to ensure your child settles in quickly and starts enjoying school. You and the teachers should have open communication about progress, setbacks if any, and plans. As trained professionals, the teachers can offer some specific suggestions for you to try at home or on the way to school. Now, some of you may be thinking, what do you do if your child doesn't seem to settle down? Well, it's very important that you give your child time to adjust, and this may take a few weeks. Continue to speak to your child positively about going to school and provide him with encouragement. Stay consistent with your routines, both at home and school, thus continue to work with the teachers to support your child. And eventually, your child should become comfortable with the process of you leaving him in preschool. That said, if your child's separation anxiety persists without any improvement after weeks, do talk to the preschool again to explore other strategies. Or you may want to reach out to other parents, maybe from the preschool parent support group, or consult a pediatrician. Next, once your child has conquered preschool and is sailing through preschool like a superhero, you'll find yourself the next big milestone, entering primary school. Now in primary 1, children will need to count and use money, be responsible for homework and other activities, interact with a wider and bigger peer group, navigate through timetables, transport, and manage multiple needs and tasks all at the same time. Sounds like a very tall order for our little one. Being primary school ready is not just about the academics. It involves a wide range of skills, which includes being independent, able to self-regulate, social skills, and many more. Now in Sparkletots Preschool, we have a P1 preparation program to help get our K2s ready for such changes. Do check if your child's preschool has the same. That aside, there are many things which you can do for your child to help make adjusting to primary school much easier. And here are some 5 tips for a smooth transition to primary 1. Firstly, talk about what to expect. Spend some time talking about what a day in primary school will be like. Encourage your child to ask questions, share concerns, and address them together. Would you like to guess what my kids were particularly interested in when they were about to enter primary 1? I recall my kids, my 2 daughters, they had lots of questions about, guess what? Recess. Recess is probably going to be the most confusing yet exciting time for your child. The rush of students to the canteen, the choices they will need to make and manage money all within that 30 minutes are usually quite stressful initially. So talk to your child about how to manage payments, deal with queues, and make decisions about what to eat. For my daughters, I had packed them a snack for the first week in case it was too difficult to manage at recess time. Secondly, help your child learn to be independent. In primary school, your child will need to carry out tasks on his own without help from you, family members, or the helper. As early as possible, teach him small steps of independence, such as managing pocket money, buying food and dealing with queues, filing worksheets and being organized even at home. Let your child be responsible for his belongings, school bags, stationery, books, and make packing bags a habit by helping him think through the items he needs the next day. Help him plan and take responsibility for his daily routine. Example, what to do after school, how much time to allocate for rest, meals, and study time. The next thing is introduce some basic school rules. There are many rules to follow in school, and you may get some info from the school website, the handbook, or during orientation. Help your child to understand some of these basic procedures so that it will not be too much of an overload in his first week of school. He will feel more at ease if he knows in advance what to expect from the school environment and the teachers. The next tip is something which I consider very important, and it's about teaching your child about safety. Do go through the different situations which your child might encounter at school, which are a threat to safety. Talk about fire safety procedures, the dangers of leaving school grounds unattended, and road safety issues. Also discuss what to do in the event that an adult or another student makes him feel uncomfortable or scared. Teach your child how to ask help from friends, teachers, or school staff in case of any emergency. Your child should also know that he should bring such matters to your attention. Lastly, have regular check-ins with your child. Now, as your child begins to spend more time in school, regular conversations or check-ins become an important way of monitoring your child's progress and development. Talk with them about their experiences in school and encourage them to share their thoughts and feelings. And you can role model by doing the same too. These chit-chat sessions can be a great way to bond with you, great bonding time between you and your child. So parents, navigating preschool and then making that leap to primary school will come with many exciting moments for both you and your child. But we all know that life is not always full of sunshine, and there will be challenges along the way. The ongoing pandemic is definitely not making it any easier, but we do know that children can be resilient and they are generally able to adjust and cope with your love and support. If you or your child are not coping, do approach the school for help or seek assistance from family or professionals. The journey as a parent is always an ongoing one. From my own experience, in each phase of our children's lives, whether it's preschool, primary school, or beyond, we may require different sets of skills and strategies. And there's much we can do to prepare ourselves in advance. But learning the how-to of parenting will also come from the actual experience itself. I think it's okay if we don't know all the answers at once. We will all learn on the go. And learning about being a parent has no graduation date. Now, as you care for your children, please don't forget your own self-care and well-being. You can only be at your best for your children and family if you take great care of yourself too. I hope your parenting journey will be filled with many happy moments and beautiful memories. All the best. Lastly,
Thank you so much.
Lastly,
That's okay.
if you would like to learn more about the strategies and tips, here are some additional information that I would like to share with you. I hope you have found my sharing useful. Thank you. And back to you, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Marini. Yes, I'm sure everybody did where, I'm looking at the comments and they're all saying, thank you so much for sharing and thanks for the great tips. And, after your sharing, I trust that their parenting journey will be happier. And, it's great that you covered separation anxiety at preschool, because I think to most parents, that's a very big thing. We've seen so many kids cry, our own kids, when they cry, it's very gut wrenching. And it's great that you touch a little bit about preparing your child as well for primary one, but that's a very broad topic, which is why we've also asked Jacinth Liew from our Little Play Nest to talk about how we can prepare our children from preschool to primary one. So Jacinth is here with more insights for us. Hi, Jacinth.
Hi, thank you, Jamie. Yes, so my son is in primary 2 now, and I remember last year when he was going to primary 1, I'm definitely more anxious than him. So, and this is a huge milestone, right? As parents, we see our kids, transiting from going to preschool, then going to primary 1, and we get worried because there are so many more students in the class, plus one teacher, and you'll be wondering whether, will the teacher notice my child? What if my child doesn't know how to buy food, or if he's bullied what's going to happen? Will my child pay attention in class, or will he even have friends? So these are a lot of questions that we are asking ourselves. So I hope that today's sharing can share some insights about my experience when my son went to primary 1, and my girl is going next year. So no matter how many times you've gone through it, I'm pretty sure parents were still equally anxious. And today I'll be sharing more on how you can prepare your kids in a more holistic manner, because I believe like soft skills, like being independent, like what Marini shared about being motivated, having a growth mindset, being responsible, these are actually the skills that are essential for kids to thrive in school. So I will be sharing about 3 aspects here: the social emotional competencies, the positive attitudes towards learning, and finally, life skills. So I hope to give you more actionable tips and things that you can do to help your preschoolers now at 5 or 6 years old, and prepare them so that they build these essential skills before going to primary 1. Let's just start on the first one, social emotional competencies. So if you read about social emotional competencies, they actually do it in primary school, and there's a huge emphasis on it. Social emotional competencies refer to the ability to self-regulate emotions, to develop coping skills, problem-solving skills, and positive social connections. And these are so important because you see your child is kind of like alone there without you in class, and the child needs to be equipped with skills to manage their emotions. Maybe they're disappointed that they are not sitting in front, or that they don't get to buy their food from the chicken rice store and they don't know what else to do. So at that moment, we don't want our kids to break down, but we want our kids to know what to do. And of course, you need to teach them what you can do. So children experience a rate of emotions, which means that by necessity, children will be feeling upset. They were not going to be happy all the time. They're going to be disappointed. They're going to be angry that they don't get what they want. They're going to be tired. They're going to lash out and throw tantrums. And I've seen many parents telling me the P1 transition was so tough because they still need to work from home. And when the kids are back, they have to manage all the meltdowns, and it was so tough. So let's not wait till then. You can do so much now when your kids are in preschool. And you can think of childhood as a training ground for adulthood. So your job is not to rescue your kids from experiencing these emotions. A lot of times we are not comfortable with our kids crying, but you have to take, a lot of self-control to tolerate these emotions, this negative form of emotions from your kids, because these are exactly the moments where your kids are going to learn important self-regulation skills. So we talked about social emotional learning. So you realize that when the kids have good emotional self-regulation, then they can work on their social skills. So let's talk about the emotional part first. And I think it's important for you to help your kids by practicing active listening. Okay, for those of you who have heard of the term active listening, it refers to you giving your full attention, in this case, to your kids when they're telling you things. So put your phone aside. Perhaps they've gone to school, they came back after one day at preschool, and they want to tell you stories. They want to tell you what their friends are doing. And a lot of times, maybe we have to reply an email, and we are so frustrated that we can't get things done. But these are actually the important moments for you to slow down, look at your child in the eye, and listen. Because if you don't listen to the small things now, they won't tell you the big things in the future. So whatever stories that they're telling you, just listen. Even if it's a make-believe, imaginative play, you are telling your kids by looking at them, sending them a message that mommy and daddy, we are here to listen to whatever you have to say. So even if your child gets bullied in primary school, your child doesn't know how to buy chicken rice, or the child goes to the bookshop and his money was lost, your child is able to tell you. Once you set this open channel of communication, then you don't have to worry about the challenges that they face. So active listening is one. And we also talk about coping skills. Right? So we don't expect our kids to know what to do when they're upset, when they're angry. If you don't teach your kids that they can actually take deep breaths, they can calm themselves down by drinking a cup of water, talking to an adult. If you don't equip your kids with these skills, they will always fall back on their natural adaptive strategy. As all humans, we go into a fight, flight, and freeze mode when we are under stress and we feel threatened. So if their friends are taking their eraser, you want your kids to know how to cope with it. Taking deep breath before asking the friend, can I have my eraser back? And you'll be surprised the kids are actually learning. So I remember I taught my son how to cope by tapping his fingers. So this is one of the brain based kind of exercises to calm themselves down. So when I was teaching in secondary school, when the kids, before they give out, the invigilators give out exam papers, the girls in my school, they will be tapping their fingers just to calm themselves down. So I was just talking casually. And the next day, my son came back and tell me that he was being disturbed by this boy. And I asked him if he told the teacher. He said he was not allowed to walk in the class. So I asked him, so what did he do? I tapped my fingers. I got a shock because I didn't think that he was listening, but they are doing whatever they can to cope. And as parents, we just need to be there to support, not to stop them from feeling these emotions, even though you don't agree with the behavior, but all feelings are okay. We want to let our kids know that it's okay to feel upset, it's okay to feel angry. We are here to help you through it, okay? So we are done with the emotional part. I want to talk about the social part now, where we want kids to be able to learn how to interact with others. And there are a few skills that I'm going to share, some tips here. First, which I highly encourage you to do, again, to communicate with your kids and teach them how their actions have an impact on others. So we're talking about social awareness. If your child wants a toy from his sibling or his friend and he just snatched it away, a lot of times we'll say, don't snatch it, return it. No, you are very naughty. But that doesn't help the kids to know what they should do when they want the toy. So instead of shaming or blaming the child, we want to focus on teaching the child, what can you do when you want the toy? And this is also a good opportunity. It's a beautiful teachable moment where you can model to your kids, what can you do if you want the toy? So firstly, maybe asking politely, and the friend doesn't want it, come together and solve the problem. So for my kids, they are always fighting for stuff all day, every day. And now they've learned that, okay, we can solve the problem. So I will ask them, can we put on our thinking caps? Or who has a brilliant idea? And you'll be surprised they can come up with the ideas that both will agree, and you don't even need to intervene. We just need to guide and support, and they'll know how to solve the problem. So that's one, talking about how their actions can affect others, and teaching them instead of shaming and blaming. My second tip here is to do pretend play. So pretend play is a great opportunity for kids to make sense of what's happening around the world and what's around them. So you can create make-believe stories. Maybe your kids get this experience in the playground and he's queuing up for the slide, but somebody came to cut his queue. Now, you at the moment, you can manage the situation, but what is more important is to teach your kids outside the moment where they are calmer and more receptive to your teaching. So you can use pretend play. Maybe you can get 2 stuffed toys and say, oh, Teddy is queuing up and Mr. Rabbit came to cut his queue. What do you think Teddy should do? So when you're talking about other characters, the kids don't get so defensive. They know that it's not them in a way, and they'll be able to think and tell you what they can do. And this is actually practice and rewiring their brains to know when I encounter any difficulties with my friends or in school, in class, I know what I can do because my mommy and daddy have talked about it to me and we've even played it with our toys. Okay, the third tip to teach them social awareness is to use stories. Kids love stories, and every night I hope that you will make time to read with your kids. This is also one of the really good ways to prepare your kids for primary school in terms of their cognitive development. Read to your kids every day. And since we're talking about how to be aware of others, stories can be told to your kids. It doesn't have to be specific stories about feelings or empathy, but any other storybook. You can point out the characters to your kids. Oh, look at the boy. He has a really sad face. I wonder what he's thinking. Have you ever felt this way? So from there, you can get the kids to share with you. And before bedtime, when you're reading, the kids are, calmer. They are more willing to share versus right after school when they, pick them and you ask them so many questions and they feel so stuck because you are constantly bombarding them with questions. Sometimes they just want some space, which is also an important point when your kids go to primary 1. Please don't ask them, is there homework? What did you eat? What did you do in school? Give them their own space. Just like us adults, and come home after a long day at work, we don't want people to just keep coming to us. We just want to have some time to relax. Okay. And my fourth tip to teach social awareness is to model it. I mentioned earlier, when you can model how you communicate with your partner at home, may I have the plate, please? Or can you help me with so-and-so? These words that you use, the kids are actually absorbing and learning. So when you model how to care for others, ask questions, that is the best way for kids to see how it is done And like one of you mentioned, kids love to imitate their parents. We want them to imitate the good behaviors. So this is one important way for you to verbalize what you are doing. Also make it very obvious that, oh, I am helping daddy keep his car. Then daddy say thank you. So these are little tips for your kids to see that how we interact and how to be more aware of how the actions affect others. Okay, so in general, social emotional competencies, we want to work on the emotional skills. You can start now at preschool level. Even if they're toddlers, you can start talking about emotions to them and give them opportunities to play, to come together. I have parents telling me that, oh, I'm going to separate the boys, the siblings, because they're always fighting. But think about it, if you separate them, they will never have the chance to practice how to navigate conflicts. So we want to bring them together and let them play more often. Of course, it's very frustrating and it's very tiring. So it's important for you to stay really calm when you encounter these situations. Just be the mediator and let them work out if they're old enough. Okay, so this is on social emotional competencies. Next, we're going to talk about learning. We are going to talk about how you can encourage your kids to have these positive attitudes towards learning. A lot of parents tell me that their kids are not paying attention in class and the kids are not interested in school. I hate school. I don't want to go to school. If the kids already know everything in advance, it's really difficult for them to focus. So we want to let them build up these soft skills about being curious. So you can encourage children to ask questions and have a good sense of wonder and know that you don't have to know all the answers. You can work with your preschoolers, Google together and find out, how we can discover what's happening around us, any questions that they have. So imagine, if you engage your kids in these conversations about why are these things happening, what can you do, then they will do that when they're learning in class as well. Okay, it's important for you to also get your kids to be excited in class, when they discover some new concepts in class with their friends. This joy of learning, that's so precious that you can get kids to be more eager to want to learn. Next, independence. This is something definitely we want our preschoolers to start to have. So provide opportunities for children to struggle. As parents, we often want to help our kids. We see them putting on their socks. We say, okay, let me help you, we are late. Or if they're trying to zip their bag, it's okay, I'll do it for you. Or if they want to close their water bottle, say, I don't want you to spill it, I'll do it for you. So by doing all this, doing the job for them, you are robbing them the opportunity to learn how to struggle, how to meet challenges, how to overcome these challenges on their own. So be really mindful as you communicate with your kids and, help them with their daily work. It is important for you to give them the chance to try, of course, in a safe environment. Another tip is to teach self-care. So knowing how to clean up, packing their own bags and putting on their own clothes, packing their lunch box. This is really important that you equip them with the skills to do so. I'm not sure if, maybe Jamie, do you have any important tips? How do you teach your kids self-care before she went to primary school?
So yeah, my eldest is already in PSLE year this year, but when she was about 6 and she was about to enter primary 1, I realized that, oh no, she doesn't know how to clean herself in the bathroom. Not really. And she was going to have to in primary 1, right? Because my helper was always like helping her out and everything. So I realized I had to teach her how to do something as simple as, wipe herself after doing business. So that was quite an eventful lesson because a friend of mine taught me to use an apple, because the underneath part of the apple looks a bit like, so like rub a bit of chocolate, then teach her, okay, this is like your bum, you wipe like that. It was quite funny. But yeah, it's a very real problem that we parents have because we work so much, some of us, that our helpers take care of everything. And then when it's time for them to go to primary 1, we realize that maybe they're not as independent as we would like them to be. So, but it's okay. I'm here to say that even if your child is not independent, they will learn.
Yes, exactly. They will learn. When you put them in that situation, they will figure something out. So it's important to guide them at the start. And I think I'm so glad that I taught my child how to shower on his own, because when he had COVID last year, he was isolated for 10 days in a room and he had to shower on his own.
When did you teach your child how to shower? What age?
He is eight tomorrow. So I taught him about at 6 years old.
6 years old, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm always worried that, they will make the water too hot. So
so I will help them with that temperature.
Yeah.
Then I will actually teach them step by step what you need to do. Sometimes I make up a story to help them remember what they need to do. But of course, be prepared that they might be spending a lot of time in there. But so what I did was so I actually had an alarm, a timer. So when the timer rings, the child should be out. These are very little things that we think that, oh, they will learn eventually, you know, but maybe with a bit of guidance, you give them this sense of confidence. Hey, I can do it. You know, then they will have lesser things to worry about when they go to primary school. Can you imagine a child who is very urgent and he wants to go to the toilet, but he's very worried that he doesn't know how to clean up? And how is he going to then pay attention in class or what's happening in school? So these little attitudes towards, you know, knowing how to do stuff and that sense of confidence actually really crucial. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go on to having a growth mindset. I'm not sure if anyone, most of you should have heard this phrase about having a growth mindset, which is to know that, you know, if you put in the effort, you'll be able to achieve your goals versus having a fixed mindset. So for my kids, I will tell them, you know, if you have you encounter any difficulty, I'll tell them, oh, you can't play this piano piece yet. And this is the power of yet, which I think Xavier, he will talk a lot more about it later on. I'll just touch on it just to get you some ideas on how you can develop positive attitude towards learning, and always to focus on the process and not the product. So I know in some kindy, they are doing like spelling for your kids. So don't focus on the end result that they get, but the effort that they put in every day as they revise for the spelling. Okay. And finally, we're talking about life skills. And these are some of the life skills, important skills that your kids need to have when they go to primary school. I think Marini has touched on it. But what I want to add on is how you can set your children up for success. So in terms of packing their school bags, buying food, telling time, managing money, you want to give them time. Okay. Don't expect them to know everything. Make the task achievable and to praise their effort. So if you look on the right side at the top, this is a box. But inside it, I'll put in the pocket money for my son every day. He gets $2 every day. And in the morning, rather than the night before, he'll be taking the $2 and putting it into his wallet. So I don't have to give him the money every day. And it is his responsibility to remember to bring the money. I also have a $2 emergency fund in his bag. So if he forgets, I know that this is a natural consequence he has to experience. Actually, that day he even forgot that he had an emergency fund. So I think that life lesson was important for him to know he has to pack his bag beforehand and put the money in his wallet. And when I mean to make the task achievable, I have a packing checklist, a visual one, so the kids can see for themselves, what do I need to pack? So I had it before when he started primary 1, and over the years I can see that he doesn't really need to refer to it, but we still have it there just to let the child see that, oh, I can do it and I'm able to do it. Okay, and finally at the bottom we have this bag this basket where I make them put their bags, because I don't want them to throw their bags all around the house. So I set them up for success by creating this basket where they can put their bags in after they're done. Before they go to sleep, they need to pack their bags. And very importantly, to praise the efforts for what they have done. So don't just focus on the things that they're not doing. Like, look, your writing is so messy, or your homework is not done, your books are all over the place, your bag is not in the basket. But praise on the things that they do well so that you can motivate them to want to do better. Kids do better when they feel better. But if we're constantly putting them down on things that they are not doing, that there is no incentive and motivation for them to want to behave, to do it well. Okay, so thank you for hearing me out. So these are the 3 things that I've shared about social emotional competencies, positive attitudes towards learning, and building important life skills. If you have further questions or you need more information about what I have shared, you can look for me on Instagram at Our Little Play Nest. All right, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacinth, and thanks very much for all the practical and useful information as well. I like how it's practical and all very Instagrammable. Even your little basket is so Instagrammable. So for those of you, if you're looking to win that $50 Shopee voucher, which we're giving away later at the end of this webinar, you can use the voucher and get yourself, a pillbox, a basket and all that. But very, very insightful. Thanks so much, Jacinth. And the title of this webinar is From Preschool to PSLE, the Survival Guide. So we've already touched on preschool and primary school, but we haven't really touched on PSLE, right? And a lot of us parents, we're so scared of it because we remember when we were in primary 6, how PSLE was such a nightmare. And that was back then when everything was so strict and teachers could actually hit us on the hand with a ruler and stuff like that. And it was just so difficult, such an ordeal to get through. So now we really feel for our children, knowing that they have to go through the same thing, which is why we're here today. And Xavier Yue from Genie Book, he is going to talk about the big one, preparing your child for PSLE. So Xavier, please take it away. Tell us.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. Hello, good evening, everyone. So I'm very excited today to come here to share with you some of the tips that can help you to prepare your child for PSLE. Okay, so before we begin, let's look at something. Okay, so what questions come to your mind when you think about preparing your child for PSLE? So you can spend maybe 1 or 2 minutes to just put that in the chat to show us what do you think when you prepare for your child for PSLE.
My first question is, how can you make them score well without I guess without putting too much pressure on them?
Okay. Yeah, I can see a lot of people are putting the emphasis on the score itself, right? How to score well, how to find help to help them to prepare better. Yeah, so these are questions that I can see in the chat as well, which is very similar to you. Yeah, so let's see more responses from them.
Also, how much is too much? You don't want them to study until they become so stressed, right? Because it's all about mental health as well nowadays.
It's a very good point. How much is too much, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I can see someone also put in balancing as well. Okay, which is very similar to yours. Okay. So many people are actually looking at these questions, which we have gathered all these kind of responses from many parents to ask questions about how to get AL1, which is the highest grade. And of course, what are the methods that we can help the child to score better in math, in science, and English, and all those different kind of subjects, right? How to handle tough questions. Now, the emphasis that I'm going to bring you through is not about academics, because you can find tons of tips through all the different tuition centers, the educational centers, and such, right? So I'm going to bring you tips that can help your child to achieve something that's long-term, okay? And what are the 3 things that I'm going to share today? So the 3 things will be the power of consistent revision, which most of you should know. Constant revision, right, is the key. The other thing will be the parental involvement. And of course, lastly, to add on from Jacinth, is to build a growth mindset and why that matters. Okay, let's go into the first one. Now, why is it so powerful to have consistent revision? So let me bring you through what's the whole background of it. Most of you should find that when you study something, when you look at something, you tend to forget the whole thing after some time. So how is this being explained? So basically, there's a psychologist called Ebbinghaus. So he developed this whole thing called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve, and how does it look like? Okay, so you can take a look at this. At the very start, you can see there's a very steep drop in terms of the information that you can retain as time goes by. Okay, so Ebbinghaus developed this whole studies very long time ago, and it's still valid today because someone validated it since 2015. So it's still valid up to today. Okay, so how does the power of consistent revision help you in this? Now, take a look at the next graph. So every time when we revisit every single information that we have studied or we look through, you can see that we bring the information back up to the initial stage. Okay, so every time you revisit that, you can see that the information that's written at the end of the whole curve is getting better and better. Okay, and the drop in terms of the information that you have, as you can see, it becomes gentler. You will not forget that more easily. Okay, so what is this whole thing about? Why is this working? So we call this the space learning. So studies have shown that space learning can help to improve long-term memories, which can help your child in the long term itself, right? So maybe you can think about a situation for those who like to sing KTVs, who like to remember all the lyrics, right? So every time you revisit the lyrics, you realize that after so long, you're still able to sing the whole song without referring to the lyrics. So this is how space learning works. Okay, so how do we apply this space learning in your child's consistent revision? Let's look at one tip. Okay, now this is a very simple guide. Then you can help your child to plan out the timetable in terms of things that they are learning in school. So when they've learned a new concept or a new topic in school, you can get them to revise a few hours after the class. And of course, the next time when you do it, you can do it at 24 hours later, which is 1 day. Or then we go on to the next one, which is 1 week later. And furthermore, revisit again to revise 3 months later. and so on. So you can actually lengthen the gaps between each revision to help your child to remember the things better. So of course, this is a guideline. Whichever timeline that you can work out for your child, you can always plan a very effective timetable for your child. Sorry, yeah, you can always do that and find something that's effective for your child. Okay, so I hope that this is something that you can use to plan out something for your child to help them to revise constantly. Okay, yeah, so the next point, getting involved with your child's learning. So in other words, we call this parental involvement. Many of you definitely have heard of this term. Why we always encourage parents to be involved in their child's learning. Okay, so of course, let me ask you guys all these questions. How involved are you, or how many of you are involved in your child's learning? Let's see, a very quick yes and no, right? Okay. Okay, that's very good, very good. That's very heartwarming to see that most of you are involved in your child's learning. And to what extent can we do that, right? Now, why is it important that we have to be involved in parent involvement in terms of the learning, right? So a lot of studies has already shown the positive co-relationship between parental involvement and also the academic involvement in terms of the achievement, okay? So even APA, the American Psychological Association, also studied that it's more likely to score higher grades in terms of that if you have more engaged parents, okay? And National Parent-Teacher Association also state that as well. So let me give you more evidence of it. The research literature in Chile, okay? So you can look at the highlighted sentence over there, where high and medium involved parent had children with higher academic achievement than low involved parent, okay? So the more that you involve in their learning, it's highly likely possible that your child can achieve better, okay? Yeah, and something that's more relevant to our context in Singapore. So NIA also did some studies on this as well. So you can look at these Straits Times reports. Yeah, so if you want to be informed on how this can help, right, you can always search for the literature online. It's always available online. You can find everything online, okay? Yeah, so what are the tips for you to do parent involvement? Now, the first thing is to study with them, okay? For the start, maybe from P1 to P3, you still can help them in some sense or another because the content is very easy, right? But when you reach P4 to P6, it's something that you don't even know how to do it, okay? So how can you still study with them? One thing that you can do is you don't have to teach them how to do things. You just have to be there and study with them. So what you can do is you can just pick one book that you like to read. For those who want to read, right? You can just sit there with them, to spend time with them while they're studying, you are reading something. Or you can do your work together with them as well, okay? So just have to make sure that you are not doing something to counter that kind of intuition that, oh, they're studying and you're playing something on your phone, you're watching your favorite dramas and your shows, okay? So we try to spend time, more effectively with the child to encourage them to study, okay, and be involved in their studies. Okay, that's the first one. So the second one is to, of course, ask questions, be involved in the things that's happening in their school. Okay, be involved in like how are they feeling for the day and how are the topics today? Is it difficult? Okay, so we try to support them and be involved in their learning to know what they are having in school. Okay, other than that, creating a conducive learning environment. So that's something that I believe when your child reaches that final year exams. So how can we help them to learn better? For example, we can provide them with a very nice, cozy area to study, or we can provide them with their favorite snacks or favorite drinks when they're really studying on the things to prepare for exams. So we can support them in this kind of environment. Okay, so of course, the last part, which is to provide emotional support. When we talk about emotional support, we are talking about two things. One is that we are supporting in terms of their emotional feelings, okay? That is something that most of us are able to do. But the other thing we have to take note as well is to maintain our own emotions, okay? To also control our emotions. Now imagine if your child is preparing for the exam and they already feel stressed out, they're feeling so anxious. But you yourself as a parent, you will definitely show that like, oh, I also feel anxious. I'm so worried for my child's PSLE score, whether they will score well or whether they will score badly. So all this stress, if you're going to show out, it's going to affect them even more. So you have to make sure that you are going to control your emotions as much as possible on your side as well. So it's to support them and also to control yourself itself to help them as well. Okay, yeah. So these are the things about parental involvement. Okay, so I'm going to look into the final part. Okay, the final part, which is to build a growth mindset. Okay, and what is the growth mindset? Let me bring you through. Okay, so the growth mindset is basically came up by this particular person, Carol Dweck. Okay, Carol Dweck, for those who are interested, you can search her book on mindset. Okay, so she said that most basic abilities, okay, basic abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. What is this talking about? That means it can be developed through efforts. Okay, so brains and talents are just starting point. So when you go into a growth mindset, you definitely create a kind of love for learning and the resilience in terms of things. Okay, so for those who want to find out how strong you are in terms of growth mindset or how strong your child is in terms of growth mindset, you can just take a screenshot of this QR code and do it sometime later. Okay, I'll give you some time to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so they can find out how inclined you are towards a growth mindset. Okay.
I didn't know you could put a picture of a dinosaur in the middle of a QR code.
Yeah, that's what's provided to me on the website.
Cool.
Okay, so this is something that's free, so you can actually do it. Okay, it's a public source. Yeah. So, okay, so I guess most of you have gotten this QR code to do it. Okay, now I'm going to move on to show you how are you going to work on this growth mindset and what does it bring. So the benefits of it, usually when a person develops a growth mindset, you'll see that usually they will enjoy learning new things. They want to learn more things and achieve more things. Okay, so that's one of the benefits. And on the other hand, when it comes to setbacks and failures, they will be able to bounce back very quickly because they see failures as different kind of learning points. Okay, yeah, so they see challenges as an exciting way to grow as well, so that they can develop better skills and better abilities. Okay, so they don't see criticism and failure as something that's bad. They see it as something that they can grow, they can be better than before. Okay, so other than that, of course, once you have developed all these things, usually they have a higher confidence and self-esteem towards themselves. So these are the good benefits of growth mindset rather than having a fixed mindset. Okay, so how can we build this, right? That's the main question. How do we build this? It's not very easy to build a growth mindset because we have to make sure that we ourselves as parents can also live this growth mindset. Okay, now, there are a few things like what Jacinth has mentioned, use yet in appropriate statements. Okay, so this is a very powerful word, yet, which I'm going to do a very simple exercise later. Okay, so the other thing is reward effort rather than intelligence. Okay, so that means we should praise them in terms of, wow, you have put in a lot of effort to do this. You have tried many ways to do this. It's okay as long as you put in effort. Okay, so we should not praise them in terms like, oh, you're smart, you're clever, yeah. So that's the examples that we should not try to focus on, but rather we focus on the effort. Okay, so the next part is we try to show them that every challenge, every failure is an opportunity to learn. Okay, so you have to show them whenever we meet with certain challenges. So we have to also leave this kind of experience with them to show them that they are actually opportunities for you to learn something. Okay, so we teach them all these things. All right. So last but not least, which is to be a role model in growth mindset. Like I mentioned just now, in order to influence your child to have a growth mindset, you yourself have to practice growth mindset as well. Imagine a situation where you are meeting a particular challenge and you are not behaving in the way that a growth mindset should behave. That will give your child a bad example in terms of that. So that's where your child will be affected by how you are behaving, and hence they pick up all those things from you. Okay, so we have to be a role model in terms of growth mindset. Okay, yeah, so now a very simple exercise for you to practice growth mindset. Okay, so this is what the exercise is. Use yet in your exercise. So what you can do is just to add a yet behind. I can't do it. You can tell them that I can't do it yet. Okay, I don't know. Let's put a yet behind. I don't know it yet. It doesn't make sense now. But you can say that it doesn't make sense yet. In the future, it will be making sense to you. Okay, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this yet. Okay, I don't get this and I don't get this yet. Okay, that's a very simple exercise for you to practice. and also try to put in yet in your sentences to let your child know. And also show them in the future, they can actually do it, okay? Yeah, so these are the things that you can do to help to build a growth mindset. So of course, these are the things that I'm sharing with you. First thing, the powerfulness of constant revision. The second part, parental involvement is very important. It shows great co-relationship between parent involvement and your child's academic achievement. The last part, help yourself with the growth mindset tips so that you can develop growth mindset yourself and hence influence your child to have also the growth mindset. Okay, yeah, so those are the things that I have for you. Okay, so I hope that these tips will help you in the long run. Okay, so back to you, Jamie.
Thanks so much, Xavier. We've got this complementary strengths analysis we wanted to let you look at. So here's the QR code for it if you're interested. Oops, that was quite fast. Sorry. Once again, here's your complementary strengths analysis via this QR code. We've had so many questions come in, and thanks very much for all of them. Once again, we're taking the questions from the Q&A box, okay, the Q&A chat box. Marini, I'm going to get you to answer the first question. Alicia Tang wants to know, is 18 months too early to enroll a kid into preschool?
Thanks, Jamie. I think, Alicia, that's a very good question. Well, children they're born ready to learn. They are like sponges absorbing everything around them as their brains develop and mature. So I personally think it's not too early to enroll your child in preschool at 18 months if you find a good quality preschool for your child and you feel comfortable in sending your child to the school. So I suggest do your homework and learn as much as possible about the preschool's infant care program and their daily practices. For example, how would they manage the sleep times, your infant meals and milk feeds. A good quality preschool would share information and address your concerns before you enroll your child, because we know that trust and peace of mind are very important when you place your precious little ones with us. So establish a collaborative partnership with your preschool teachers and have regular open communication. And I'm sure your child will try from infant to toddler, nursery, and then graduate at kindergarten. Yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Thank you. And now we've got one for Jacinth. Someone wants to know, well, she says that her 2-year-old keeps saying that he wants to beat people, although he almost never does. I don't know what that means by almost never does. Maybe he has a few times. But anyway, you say that it's like a reflex to say when he's scared or angry or sad. So please help me.
Right. So a 2-year-old will never have this ill intention to want to hurt anyone. So even if the child says he wants to beat, I'm glad that these parents can use the word reflex. So it is an instinctive response. And we know at 2-year-old, kids don't have that impulse control. Like when they feel angry, they just rely on their bodies to help them to cope. And you know, our bodies are really amazing to help us to cope with any stress. And for example, you know, if there's a foreign object in your eye, you just rub it, right? Because the body is telling you that, okay, you got to keep yourself safe and get that foreign object out. And similarly, when your child feels angry and upset, his body is helping him to cope. That is why the beating comes in. So I just want to change the perspective on why our kids, you know, we say that they are naughty, or they are misbehaving, but really they are having a hard time themselves. This is one of my favorite mantras. I would tell parents, your child is not giving you a hard time. Your child is having a hard time. So if you can take a step back to calm yourselves down and see that, okay, my child needs help. How can I help my child versus how can I punish or make my child do better by, you know, scolding him or yelling at him and forcing him? The easier way out is to understand why is he behaving in this way. So if he's angry and sad or disappointed, remember we talk about how all these feelings are all valid, and it's important for the parent to calm down first and hold space for the child. So for a 2-year-old, you can just hug the child. I think the 2-year-old will really love to know that, you know, his parents are showing up for him, not, you know, isolating him in a corner. And you want to validate. A 2-year-old may not be able to verbalize that well, but if you use words like, I understand, it's hard, you are angry. So when you use these words, your child associates the feelings with the words that you often use, and the child feels seen and heard, doesn't have to rely on beating to get your attention. Yeah.
Thanks, Jacinth. Xavier, we got one for you as well. Someone wants to know, how can I help my son get motivated to do well and be more hardworking, he's always procrastinating and not motivated to even finish his homework. Okay, I have that same problem. So Xavier, I'm quite eager to find out what you want to say to that.
Okay. So motivation is not something that we can force because it has to be built from young itself. That's why we talk about growth mindset. Okay, so motivation, let's say if it's at this point of moment that you want to motivate your child, so rewards are usually something that we use. So there are two things in terms of motivation. One is the intrinsic motivation, one is the extrinsic motivation. So usually when we reward kids, right, with let's say cash or things that they like, okay, so those are extrinsic motivation. So these two works together very closely. After some time, when you use the extrinsic motivation to do it, eventually the child will develop some kind of intrinsic motivation. But that is something that we have to do for a period of time. It's not so easy to carry out. Okay, yeah, so that's my take in terms of motivation. It's not something that's very easy. We have to keep trying different methods to motivate the child. Okay.
Thanks very much, Xavier. Marini, next one's for you again. In your presentation today, you mentioned about 8 weeks being the rough estimated time a kid takes to be familiarized. And someone wants to know if mine takes much longer, is it normal?
Okay. Well, like I mentioned earlier, every child is different and some do take longer time to adjust. I share with you my own personal experience. I've got two children. Of course, they're both grown up now, but when they were younger and in preschool, both my girls took about 1+ months to fully settle down. And in fact, I remember once they were settled, when new children came into the class and start crying, my own children would start to do the same again. So they did take some time to fully adjust and start to enjoy school fully. But seriously, if your child is trying to cope, please continue to offer support and encouragement, plus work out consistent strategies at home and in school in partnership with your preschool teachers. I think if you see your child showing some improvement and progress, then I think you should stay the course. All the best to you. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Marini. Jacinth, you talked about us parents, maintaining a positive influence in our kids' lives. And I think someone reacted to that and said that, but what if even after being positive and setting a good example, the kid still doesn't want to comply? How?
My short answer is to work on connecting with your child. There must be an underlying reason why he finds it so hard to comply or to listen to you. Remember that the level of cooperation is very much proportional to the level of connection. So if the child can feel that you understand him, you don't judge him, and you are always there, slowly the child will be able to share. I mean, even as us adults, right, we feel connected to someone, or maybe a manicurist who wants to sell us maybe their products, but we feel connected to the manicurist and we're more willing to sign on the package. So it's very much like you feel connected to the person and you'll be more willing to want to cooperate. And so if the child still refuses to, behave, find out why. Why is it so hard? And I think it's important to realize that you need to be on the same team as your child versus on the opposing team. So let your child know, even you can use words like, I'm with you. We are doing this together. Maybe you're taking your PSLE and you're really finding it very hard. Mommy and daddy are here. You see, we are sitting beside you. We're here to help you. Maybe we can solve this together. So just to assure the child, and the child feels connected and that you genuinely care for the child, then everything else will come into place because the child would then feel more open to cooperating with you.
Well said, Jacinth. Xavier, what do you think about rewarding children for having or developing a positive mindset?
Okay, so depending on what do you mean by rewarding, right? Is it rewarding cash, rewarding things that they want? Yeah, so of course, when we talk about rewarding, it can be in many different forms, whichever that works for your child, but we would prefer things that are like rewarding in terms of effort rather than intelligence, like I mentioned. So focus on what they have gone through in terms of the effort they have put in to get something done, even though they didn't manage to complete it or achieve it. It's the effort that counts, okay? Because we are encouraging behaviors that it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail because the next time when you try again, you're going to be even better. Okay, that's how growth mindset work. Okay, yeah, so that's my take in terms of this part, to reward children by praising the effort rather than the intelligence. Okay.
Thanks, Xavier. Marini, back to you. What is the impact if we send our child to school at a younger age, like, when they're just an infant or max 18 months? This is from Meliana.
Jamie, like I mentioned just now, I think there are merits to sending your child early into preschool. Quality preschool experiences could have a very significant impact on the child's development and learning, not only at present time, but also for the future. I think what's important is for Miliana to work with the preschool closely so that her infant can be well cared for and can really flourish during her time in preschool.
Thanks, Marini. Jacinth, when my son is asked to do other activities, someone wants to know, he will say, I'm tired and he's not interested. So what should I do?
This is really common, right? You think about your time when you're in school. Do you try to push away your homework just to play and, try to do the things you enjoy? I think even as adults, we've gone through those phases. So it's very normal for kids to push boundaries. In fact, they should. They should try to figure out what they can do, how would their parents respond. So in terms of getting the kids to do any activity or even homework, it all boils down to motivation, like what Xavier has shared. And of course, fundamentally, we want to make sure that the basic needs of the child is met. So those of you know about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So this triangle in terms of hierarchical order, where you need to settle the basic needs. So if your child is really tired or hungry or overstimulated, that is not the time to ask your kids to do any activities. That's the time to get your kids to wind down and calm themselves down first before they do any homework. And also, when they don't want to do their homework, they don't want to do any tasks, you again be on their team and work with them. How can we help you through this? Maybe you can set a schedule with the child, involve the child in planning what he wants to do after school. And this is very important that you involve the child. So for me and my kids, we actually have like a timetable and the kids get to decide what they want to do. I will set my boundaries. I'm not saying that they get to do everything they want and they watch screens for the whole afternoon. I will let them know the limits. So you set your limits. Screen time is, let's say, 30 minutes a day. So what else do we want to do? So I know some parents think that, they have to do their homework, then they can watch TV, right? I think when we were brought up, do your homework first, then you can play. But for my kids, I know that they need time to wind down. So after a long day at school at 2 o'clock, they won't be able to do their homework immediately. So rather than, battle with them, I let them know that, okay, we are going to try out this schedule where you can watch your TV for 30 minutes and we will put homework after or any revision after. If you are able to do so, then it's good. We'll keep to this schedule. But if you're not able to do so, then we have to make adjustments. So this is where you let your child feel that, mommy and daddy knows how I feel and they're trying to help me. They're not trying to push their way through. And that's also how the connection is formed between the parent and the child.
Very insightful. So you kind of like, you change your style based on your kid, basically, right? You tweak it based on your kid. Xavier, someone wants to know, what if my kid always reply, don't know? When asked, what did you learn? He was always saying, I don't know.
Okay. So that's related to being involved in your child's learning and school things, right? So of course, I would say patience will be one of the things you have to have. You have to keep asking, you have to keep trying, or try other ways that you can ask this question to be more specific so that it's easier for your child to learn. To answer your question, right? Because when you put a question to your child which is too open, they may not know how to answer you. They may just brush it off with a don't know. Okay, so you can keep a question more specific. Maybe that can help as well. Yeah, so what I suggest is maybe you can change different ways of asking that question and keep trying. One day your child might be opening up to you. Okay.
Basically, just press on. Be patient. Well, I'm so sorry. I know we've had so many other questions come in, but we've got to close the Q&A part of today's webinar. Thank you, Marini, Jacinth, and Xavier for all your useful tips, your insights, and for answering all the questions. And everybody agrees that you guys have just provided them with so much helpful information. Here's something helpful as well. If you want a goodie bag, we're giving away the exclusive Singapore Parenting Festival goodie bag. If you want this, very simple, just scan this QR code right now. We are giving this to the first 100 attendees who scans this QR code right now. Once again, it's the SPF goodie bag that we're giving away while stocks last. Scan ready? Now, the Singapore Parenting Festival 2022 is proudly presented to you by MediaCorp and the Asian Parent. The festival is made possible by these key partners. Big thank you to our platinum partners, Hydroflux and Yu Yen Sang. Gold partners, Dumex, Scott's, PCF Sparkletots, Nature One Dairy. Silver partners, Ministry of Health Singapore, Baby Dove, Virtus Fertility Center and Prudential. And to our content partners, Center for Fathering, Moms for Life and Dads for Life, Baby Pass, Families for Life. And the moment you've been waiting for as well, we are giving away some $50 Shopee vouchers. And here are the winners. Ta-da! Congratulations to these 6 people: Claudia, Anita, Zhibang, Siulan, Yashash, and Nalika. Email us at campaigns@theasianparent.com with your name, contact number. You got to email us within 3 working days, okay? Then you can claim your prize. Once again, all of you have won a $50 Shopee voucher each. So a big congratulations to you. We've got something exciting going on tomorrow as well. There's a Facebook Live happening on the Asian Parent Facebook page tomorrow at 8 p.m. There'll be more great deals and more giveaways, okay? So remember to join us on the Asian Parent Facebook page tomorrow at 8 p.m. sharp. Thank you so much for your time today. And I want to thank all the speakers as well for their time. I'm wondering whether you guys want to have a last word of some sort, like a quick one. Marini?
Sure. I just want to tell everyone that parenting is not easy. I know it's very tough. I experienced it myself with my 2 daughters. And in fact, with the current ongoing pandemic, it is a lot more difficult. But, take heart, stay positive, remain calm. I'm sure you will sail through, your child will sail through life with your love and support. All the very best to everyone.
Jacinth?
Yeah, I think I'll end off with reminding everyone that our children are more capable than we think they are. So sometimes when they are struggling, they can work through it themselves. So there's no need to rescue. Even they're going to a new place, to a new primary school, a new preschool, let them experience it. And just like what Marini shared, be there to support, but don't take away the struggles. Let them struggle so that they can learn.
Xavier?
Okay, so my last words to you will be take care of yourself so that you'll be able to take care of your child's learning, because you yourself, when you're healthy, when you are healthy in terms of your body and your mind, that's where you can actually support your child better. Okay, yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you so much once again. And thank you to you for coming and joining us on this free webinar. Once again, it's part of the Singapore Parenting Festival. Have yourself a great Thursday night.